Alors, bienvenue à le nouveau épisode de The Journey avec Kayleigh, Chase et Broxton et moi, Samantha.
Oi, bom dia, gente, tudo bem? Hoje vamos falar sobre... O que vamos falar sobre?
Vamos falar sobre? Je sais pas.
Sobre missões.
C'est différent d'interpréter des fois. C'est trop différent en français. L'espagnol, c'est plus proche.
Eu não falo francês, desculpa. Mas eu tô muito grato para estar aqui com minha amiga Samantha.
Oui, mon amour.
Roxanne.
Chase, how are you?
I'm doing good. I think we just got welcomed to this episode of The Journey.
Oui, exactement, c'est ça.
Sim. Isso.
All right, are we going to speak English now?
Yeah, we can do that. Portuguese is too difficult.
All right, so for real, welcome to
different.
another episode of The Journey. Today we're joined by two of Ridgecrest's very own, Samantha Tedder and Kayleigh Nelson. Welcome to The Journey.
Thank you for having us.
And they just, in their native language. Can we call that a native language for y'all?
No.
That's my third language.
Their third language.
My second. I only speak two.
Okay, their second or third language here have welcomed us to this episode of The Journey.
We have no idea as usual, we have no idea where we're going. We did plan this episode more than we've ever planned any episode.
We also have no idea exactly what they just said, and we know that you probably don't either if you're watching or listening. But I do think it's worth Samantha at least saying your name one more time the way she said your name, Roxy.
Broxton.
Okay.
How would they say Broxton's name?
It wouldn't be pretty.
Let's try.
Broxton.
Go with that.
Yeah. Broxton. All right.
Chasey.
Chasey.
Samantha.
Yeah.
They pronounce my name Kayleigh because they don't realize that all the letters are silent.
I don't know how to make sense of that G there.
Yeah.
See, that works in French because we don't pronounce all the letters.
Yeah.
So how would they say Chase?
And that one is difficult because the E on the end normally is just silent. So it would be like Chess.
Chess.
Casey or Chess?
Chess.
All right. Well, how about for today, we just go with Chase?
Yeah.
Let's stick to English the rest of the show
that's a
today.
good idea.
All right. So both of you have just returned from, what is the name of the program that y'all, is it a program?
Yeah, it's a program. I was in the Journeyman program.
Okay. I feel like Brother Ray mentioned that on our episode with Willie Rice. But I didn't want to look foolish. So y'all both returned from the Journeyman program.
Through the IMB.
Well,
through the international.
actually, mine was not the Journeyman program.
Okay. So we're already a 9 CD right out the gate.
All right. So let's get this straight. Samantha, you were on the 2-year.
Yes, I was on the 2-year Journeyman program.
With the IMB.
With the IMB.
International Mission Board. You
Yes.
just said before the show, acronyms.
Acronyms, yes.
You got to communicate what they are.
All right.
Yes.
So Samantha was on the Journeyman program for 2 years with the International Mission Board or the IMB.
There you go.
Now, Kayleigh, explain.
So I did the 2-year also, but it was with a project called Project 3000, P3K for acronym. And yeah, it's like the same length of service, but the tasks are different. The workload is different. So yeah.
All right.
So how does this is a very broad question, but how does this work for the average listener, which is probably everybody listening, unless they've done this themselves? When they hear, I'm going to be a missionary, I'm sure the only frame of reference that people have for that is, I'm going to do something overseas. But y'all went through a very structured training protocol, and then this was a very well-planned program that y'all went through. So explain. Or if you want to start with why you went this route, like what, other than the Great Commission, what brought you to this point in your life? Does that make sense?
Yes. So I can start with the Journeyman program, and then I think it'll be easy for you to explain the few differences for 3000 after that. So the journeyman program is for people interested in overseas missions that are working on or have completed a bachelor's. You don't have your master's, or you're working on your master's, and it's like basically for people in their 20s. And the point is to get people interested in missions under the mentorship of seasoned missionaries, learning what it is to do missions through the IMB, because different mission organizations have different methods that they do. The IMB's goal and method is always to plant a church in the local language ran by local leaders. Doesn't mean there's local leaders when we start, but it means that there's local leaders when we exit.
It takes a long time.
It takes a long time. Yes, that's the goal. So my TL team leader, my team leaders were there for almost 6 years before the church plant got started. But that was 6 years of learning the language, learning the culture, finding healthy churches to partner with, building relationships with those partner churches, and then getting to the point that there were members of the churches discipled to the point that the church plant could start. And that started halfway through my time of being there. And so I chose the Journeyman program because Kayleigh's mom told me about it when we were seniors in high school. So that's how I knew about it. But two, I had an interest in missions and ministry, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, like ministry-wise, going into high school. But I had already done some like domestic missions in the States with Ridgecrest, and so I was like, well, let me do some international stuff too and figure out which one I want to do. And so all through college, all going towards that goal. And so when I got to my senior year, I still was like, well, I still wanted to do that. The Lord hadn't told me that that was not what I was supposed to do. And so I kept pursuing it, and I spent the last 2 years in France.
How did you choose France? Did you choose France, or is that like a IMB thing?
So that's a funny question. So I did not choose France, but I did choose France.
France chose you.
God chose France. God chose France. France doesn't choose anybody. You choose France. But no, I took French in university because I was a Bachelor of Arts, so I had to take foreign language. And so I just ended up minoring in it because I only needed 2 more classes. So reasonably, like, it was logical to go somewhere that spoke French because I was not going to start at 0 with language. Yeah. But I had no desire to go to France or to go to Paris. But over my senior year, as people kept asking me, they kept being like, well, you know French, so you're just going to go to France, right? And I kept wanting to say no. And then you got to be like, yeah, that's right. That's where you're going. But there's a part of the process where you get to see what journeyman jobs are available, and you look at the description and you pray over them and you discern with the Lord and those around you what's the wisest ones for you to go to. And actually, right until the point where I could pick jobs, there was no jobs I was qualified for in France, or let alone Paris. And so I was like, okay, I think that you want me to go to France. So there's nothing in France. So where do you want me to go instead? And then, like, right before it was time for me to like start applying to jobs, the job that I just finished opened up, and I was like, oh, okay, there it is.
All right. So how about you, Kayleigh?
Yeah. So I grew up on the mission field. For context, I grew up in Spanish-speaking countries, and so I was really hoping, because when I was like 15, I felt the Lord call me to missions, and I was really hoping that I could come back to South America and work with Spanish-speaking peoples. So I went off to college. I studied missiology, and it was like my junior or senior year of college. I had this project in one of my classes where I had to research an unreached people group, basically a people group with less than 2% evangelical Christians. And I studied a people group in the Middle East, and I was like, wow, I think I want to do this. Like, I want to go interact with an unreached people group. And it's funny because I was looking at like a nomadic people group, so a people group that would constantly be traveling. And then that's basically when I decided to do the Journeyman program. And so when I was in the process of applying and getting interviewed, someone was like, hey, have you heard of this new project we just started called Project 3000, where basically So at the time when I signed up, there were 3,072 unreached people groups around the world. And they were like, our goal and our desire is to research those people groups and to get people in there that will start sharing the gospel and discipling them. And so they were like, but first we need researchers. So do you want to live out of a backpack? Do you want to travel constantly and eat strange food and sleep on the floor? And I was like, I've never done that before, but yeah, I'll do that. It was so funny. People ask me all the time, like, what made you want to do that? And I was like, I've never been camping. I've never been backpacking. But as soon as I got off the phone with that man, I was like, I'm doing this. Like, I don't know. There was just something in me that was like, I just want to do this. And I knew that it would be a challenge. And I think part of me was looking forward to that challenge. The physical part and then like just the emotional part of not really having a home. Like I came back to the same place every few months, but it was like I was constantly traveling. And so you don't have like that home base. But yeah, that's kind of what got me into this program. And I will say I went into it and I talked to one of my team leaders at the time, who was yet to be my boss, but I was like, hey, do you have any openings in South America? I really want to work with Spanish-speaking peoples. And they were like, let me see. And I thought maybe I would end up going to Colombia. And then last minute, they were like, well, we really need people in Brazil. And I was like, so you're telling me out of all the countries in South America, you picked the one that doesn't speak Spanish?
Hey, French Guiana speaks French.
You picked the one that I have to learn Portuguese for. So I did. I learned Portuguese. But yeah, so I always tell people, like, I didn't feel particularly called to Brazil, but I did feel called to this job and to do this research. And so, yeah.
Is that Project 3000, is that like an individual organization or is it combined with something else? It's not a part of IMB or anything.
It is.
Oh,
it is.
Okay.
It's just like, so there's different programs you can go with IMB. You can do Journeyman, which is the 2-year. You can do Macedonia, which is like Journeyman, but you would also be doing seminary at the same time. You could do long term, which is like 3+ years. And then this just opened up a few years ago. And it's for like single, young, sort of athletic people who want to,
want an interesting journey.
Yeah, I mean, they
not
market
that yours
it.
wasn't interesting.
Oh, they're
but I guess
interesting in different ways.
like the physicality of what
Yeah,
you
well,
had
they
to
market
do
it as
would
like
be
different, yeah.
adventure, Bear Grylls and stuff. And I was like,
Let's
yeah,
go.
it's adventurous, all right. It's just like mostly uncomfortable. Like all the traveling is, you're sitting for long periods of time. Like I thought I would be doing, I guess, more like actual backpacking, but in the jungle, you tend to just sit on a boat for a really long time.
So you were in a jungle the majority of your time, and I don't know where direction we're going to go with all this, but I just right now want to ask, like, the average night.
Yeah.
Like, where did you sleep?
In a hammock. Yeah.
Same 2 trees or like different trees?
Chase is asking the hard-hitting questions.
Is that a bad question?
You mean
I don't know,
you mean
Samantha
like
thought it was funny.
if I moved my hammock?
Yeah, like, I mean, are you going, I mean, I'm just thinking practically speaking, like, are you literally, I mean, the average night you slept in your hammock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So does that mean like your hammock stayed between these same 2 trees the average time you were there, or was it like every day you take the hammock down, you move, and you find 2 more trees?
No, we would stay in the same spot.
Okay.
We would like find a place that we wanted to go and research, and we would stay there for a few days to a week at a time. And we would set up our hammock, and then we would just chill in the jungle.
So what does the research look like?
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of that?
Yeah, so the research would be asking a lot of questions and also a lot of observation. So depending on where you are and what people you're with, they won't necessarily be open, especially because you look and speak like a foreigner. It's not like super trustworthy right at first, but you can get a lot of information by observing routines and the way that people interact with their families, with each other, with different generations. And then, you can just ask some questions, and if they're open, they'll answer. And so we would just try to collect as much information about, what is their level of understanding of the gospel? Do they have resources in their language? Because that's a really big deal that we often overlook. Because we try to go into a place and we're like, okay, take the gospel, eat it and digest it and then, become a Christian. But there's something to be said for like understanding the gospel, worshiping in your heart language, And so it's extremely important to us that we not only give them the gospel, but give it to them in a way that's easily understandable and that's also reproducible. So can they take that and then, give it to their neighbor, give it to their relative?
How would you record the data that you found?
Just in a notebook. Just take it down.
Yeah, and then did you have to like process through that to give that to somebody kind of thing for like future reference or?
Yeah, I would write up a report with the data, with the information. And a lot of it, like I said, is just relational. You just get to know people and in time they will open up to you. But it was never like in a manipulative way. Like we were not just taking data for the sake of data. We're actually trying to get people in that will build relationships with them and see a church is planted. Because they wanted that, like they wanted people to work with them and to share the gospel with them and one of the biggest requests we got was like, we need someone to explain the Bible to us. Like we need someone that can come in and teach the scriptures because there's just so many things that we don't understand and we don't have anyone to teach us.
So different from what we do, Chase.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still thinking about those trees, that hammock.
All right. Well, while you think about the trees in the hammock, so Samantha, you said that like you couldn't go to Paris, or it wasn't clear to you that you were going until a certain job opened up. Mm-hmm. So like, what did your plan look like? Like, what did your day-to-day, like, what was your goal? To just be kind of in the community, get to know people, or were you like working on a church plant?
Okay, so the church plant that I was, my team was working on, it actually launched in September of 2025. So since then, we've been doing stuff with the church plant, but before that was doing groundwork. And so I think I said earlier, my TLs had been in the country almost going on 5 years when I got there. And they actually had 4 journeymen before I got there, and there was another journeyman that came in at the same time as me. And so those 4 journeymen had done a lot of like just initial groundwork of trying to figure out where do people gather, how do people make friends, because everything is different when you're in a different culture. There might be things that are like similar, but people make friends in different ways, in different contexts. Some places are appropriate to speak to strangers and they're not, and they're different than how it is here. And so you're trying to figure out what all those things are. Your access to different like areas where you would meet students or professionals, and those things are going to be different just based off the culture and what's appropriate. And so a lot of the work of the first journeyman was figuring all of that out. And so I had the blessing of coming into them already doing that and being like, okay, people are more sociable and more likely to make friends in more athletic clubs and conversation clubs or clubs where you're going to talk a lot. And so
my worst nightmare is a conversation club.
Yeah. And so in France, they call them associations, but it's a club. And so like I was in an ultimate Frisbee club because one of the journeymen had she'd already been doing that for 2 years. And there actually was a French Christian that she was friends with in that group. And so she was like, I want you to keep encouraging her, keep being friends with her. And she was a wonderful friend and great encouragement. And we would always like intentionally go to like club hangouts, and people would ask us about different things. And so she was always trying to get people to ask me what I did, because that was a really easy way to start talking about the gospel. So I was in that club, and then some of the former journeymen had been like in a game, tabletop gaming club, like playing card games and things like that.
My next worst nightmare.
Playing like cards and things like that, because what else do you do when playing cards other than talk to people?
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of relational stuff.
You never talk when you're playing games.
No, and you'd silence.
Any like drawing clubs? Because Broxton has a new hobby, and it's drawing.
No, so I did try to find a drawing club, but all of the drawing clubs were like way up. So I lived like 20 to like 40 minutes away from anything actually in Paris. I lived in the suburbs, and all of the drawing clubs were up like at least 30 minutes away. And so the other thing is we're trying to target people that are in a walkable distance from where the church plant was at, because that's one of the things we know culturally about French people. If they're going to consider something their close community, they're going to be able to walk to it. And if they're not already a believer, they're not going to be willing to go very far for church or really anything else. But like if you met a believer and you're like, and they're like, I don't have a church yet, I'm trying to find one, they would be willing to go 30, 45 minutes to a healthy church because they already see the value in it. But if you're trying to be with someone that doesn't care and sees no value in having a church, they're not going to want to go 45 minutes on transport on Sunday. But if you're like, no, it's like a 10-minute walk from your house, then they're going to start having a hard time coming up with excuses, because they're already walking around on Sunday morning to go to the market. So why can't you have to walk past this house to get there? So day to day looked really different, but my week to week was really similar. I had a lot of weekly things that were the same, and then trying to fill in time daily. And as we met people that wanted to talk, and even just people that wanted to be your friend, and maybe they weren't interested in the Christian aspect of your life at the beginning, just actually being friends with these people and caring about them and trying to fit them in around your regular things was kind of what my week looked like.
I have so many questions for both of y'all.
Let's hear them.
Fire away.
All right. So it sounds like, Kayleigh, for you, a lot of, relationships were important.
Yeah.
And you're showing up as someone that looks different, speaks different, probably not in a bad way, but a different agenda than the average person that's showing up, or like, that they're used to. So like when you would travel, backpack, get to a location, what was that initial interaction like with the people there in those locations? And kind of like, were they open to you? Like, hey, can I borrow these 2 trees and stay for a couple nights? So, and like how, is there any food? Like, how did you do food? And I'm just thinking through, like, I guess initially, what was it like trying to engage with a group of people first?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, you have to think through logistics. How am I going to feed myself? Where am I going to bathe? Usually the river, but sometimes there were crocodiles. So it's like, can't bathe in the river.
You gotta send us some. Do you share pictures? Did you have a phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just I don't know if I took that many pictures. I took pictures of a lot of spiders and stuff, but most of the time I didn't really have my phone out taking pictures. The thing is, when we would enter these places, we would do it with permission. We always did it in a way that was respectful, and we got the permission from whomever was in charge.
So how did you know who was in charge?
Yeah, so that kind of goes all the way to like what I did for my job was always improvised, if that makes sense. So we never really knew when we were going into an area. We didn't know anybody. We would literally like hop on a bus, hop on a plane, show up somewhere, and then we would go around to different churches, and we'd try to make connections and ask around, hey, do you know about these people? Can you give us any information about them? And sometimes somebody in the church would know the leader of a people group. because maybe they've done work with them before. Maybe they come into the city for governmental resources or groceries or whatever it is. And so if we were able to get that contact, we would reach out and be like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is who we are. Would you mind? Like, could we come and visit you and get to know you and your people? And I would say the majority of the time it was a yes. They were like, yeah, of course. Like, they were very eager to meet us, and they always wanted literally any outside help, which I thought was kind of funny. So yeah, we would show up, and yeah.
How many, when you say us, how many people?
It was me and my partner, a girl.
So y'all would, I mean, I would assume the conversation, I mean, that's kind of intimidating a little bit.
Yes, definitely.
Like, what's up, man? Can I come?
Yeah, it's strange. You have to, like, I learned the art of networking because I don't know if I am accustomed to like putting myself out there and like reaching out to people, but I kind of got used to it, and it seems uncomfortable, but I feel like also in that culture, everyone is so friendly, and everyone and their mom has WhatsApp. So you can like, then they'll do voice messages straight off. They will not do text messages. So, I mean, you are like, boom, you get to know someone immediately, and you're immediately let into their life and into their home. That's just the culture there. And it's really conducive to our job. It's really conducive to, I would say, missions overall. There's obviously some things that also get in the way. But for the most part, like, they're very welcoming people. Even the people that we worked with who have a different culture than the like normal national culture. But yeah, so we would go in, and they would usually be pretty open. If we had questions, they would be like, hey, you can stay here, like a little wooden hut thing, and that's where we'd put our hammock, or in the trees, you know. And yeah, and then with food, we would usually bring our own food, and we'd bring food for them too, for the people too. So we would cook like a bunch of food to feed everyone there. So
That's incredible.
it's pretty cool.
Meanwhile, Samantha, you were
Playing cards.
playing cards in a coffee shop.
I was not a part of any of the cards clubs. I did host the conversation club though, Broxton. So you would have loved that. But food is also a big thing.
I would say in any culture.
Food is really important.
The connecting point.
And learning, like, so a big difference in French culture and American culture is the French savor every meal. Our fast food culture does not compute with them. And so if you're making lunch plans or dinner plans, you're signing up for an hour, and an hour is like, oh, I'm so sorry, that was like so rushed. But really like 2 to 3 hours that you're going to be at this restaurant. Or at, like, you eat your meal and then we go somewhere else and we have coffee there after we've eaten our lunch or dinner in this place. If it's dinner, we're going to get ice cream somewhere else. But you're sitting and talking for a long time about
this is like an introvert's nightmare.
Yeah, that's one thing. Broxton's over here like, man.
Yeah. It's just a lot of talking, which is great for me.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that.
She is.
I talk a lot. So it was just meeting. The harder thing was honestly getting on people's schedule because they're so busy, because like Paris is the New York City of France. So everything you're thinking about, it's the hustle culture, it's busy, it's loud, it takes super long to get anywhere you're trying to go because the train is down, or you didn't get on that metro car because it was packed full. So now you gotta wait for the next one. That anything you can think about, like for New York, that Paris is that to France. And in the same way that New York is really multicultural, Paris is also really multicultural. And so you're not always eating with just French people or French people at all. And so you're also having to be like, all right, how many different cultures are about to be at dinner? What are we all going to eat, or depending on our religious backgrounds, allowed to eat? And how late is this person going to be? How early is this person going to be? And how long are we all going to actually be here at the same time? And so yeah, so you also had to get really good at just being able to balance planning things that were multicultural friendly. Because not hardly anything I did was ever just French people. It's normally people from at least 3 continents total, all the time. And then, the French people will sit there for 3 hours. Your North Africans friends are going to sit there for 4 to 5, and just keep talking and eating. And depending on if we go to Moroccan food, it's really great. You go to a Moroccan restaurant, you're going to be there a long time. It takes a long time to get any of your food because it's all cooked very slowly. It's some of the best food you're going to have ever, but it's going to take a long time to get it. And then it's the same thing for church. Once the church plant got started, like we're telling people it starts at this time, but we're really going to start at this time, just because we know we've got enough people from late cultures that we're going to be late. And then church actually starts, and then we talk afterwards. So in America, we talk before church. France, we talk after church, and we stay for a while. And normally, anything that you're doing, if you're gathering, you're staying for longer than 30 minutes, there's food and coffee, always. So cake, coffee, talk about the week, talk about the sermon. You're going to be here for a while. So
how do they square? You said it's just like New York City in regards to people being busy and like hustle culture. But I'm sitting here thinking how can you have that? And we're going to sit here for 3 or 4 hours over lunch.
Yes. So you are going to prioritize taking a lunch when you can do that. And so the time where someone's really busy and you can only get the hour lunch, you're sad. We're both sad. It's we only got to sit here for an hour, but it's okay. You have to go back to work and that's fine. But if you're planning with someone, they might be well, on Tuesday, I could only stay for an hour, but on Thursday we could sit for 3. And you're going to be okay, well then let's go Thursday because that's the more ideal time. Or they're going to be they don't have a long lunch break. So you're always going to do dinner with this person instead. And then some of my friends were students, and so they were on a student schedule. So lunches were normally easier for them, and then they had afternoon classes. Or if they had morning classes, then afternoons were free. And so it just depended on the person. But they're going to prioritize hanging out with you the time that they can hang out with you the longest.
How many team members did you have?
So, like I said earlier, when I got there, there was the previous journeyman, but they all but one left within the first 2 months. So for the first 7 months, it was me, the other journey guy that came in when I got there, and one of the former journey girls that had extended her contract a little bit longer, and our TLs, and it's just our TLs and their family. And then she left May of last year. And so after that, it was just me, the other guy, and our TLs. Until January of this year, we got a new guy, and then in March we got a new girl. And we do have more positions open because ideally there's 2 girls and 2 guys, but that's wholly dependent on people, 1, applying to the job, and then 2, getting hired to the job.
How long you talk about a church service? So what is the time frame of what time did you say to start, and then when are you leaving?
So for the church plant, once we started, we had the start time at 3. Normally we'd really start 3:15. And service would only be with music, sermon, everything, an hour and a half at the most. But we're not leaving until 5:36, talking afterwards. The longest we ever stayed was on an Easter Sunday. Everyone stayed a lot longer, but we brought more food and hung out more because of the Easter Sunday. So we put more emphasis on staying together after the service that day. But then there could be a week where everyone's busy and the summer was short, everyone's really busy. And so we were all out of there by 5, but that was rare. It was normally at least 5:30 because we did it in the afternoon.
So it's kind of rare around here too, sometimes for the sermon to be short. So kind of a similar thing.
Yikes.
Doesn't matter who's preaching. We were talking about it last night. Aaron Johnson, the boys were giving him a hard time for how long he preached on Sunday.
Oh, really?
He did go a little bit longer.
So they were just giving him a hard time. But Kayleigh, what did church look like in the areas that you were in?
So the areas I worked in, there was no church.
Right.
So kind of didn't really have But when I would be back home, like sort of in the city, church was usually at night. Lot of Baptist churches where I was. So I worked with a church plant that my team helped plant, and there it's interesting. In Brazil, you had like Sunday school in the morning, and then you had the actual service at night. And I love, like Samantha was saying, y'all have church in the afternoon. I kind of like that a lot because you can have like a slow morning, and then, yeah, I don't know. But in Brazil, yeah, you had church at night, and yeah, either way, like you could come early and talk, or you could stay late and talk. I really liked my church plants, like church structure, I guess. So in the morning for Sunday school, we worked with refugees and some people groups with a little bit different culture than the national culture. And so our gospel sharing methods were orality based. So we would focus on storytelling, which, having like learned that and being trained in that, it's now one of my favorite things ever. I wish we did more of that here in America, honestly, like in the pulpit more. Like we do storytelling, but not like Bible storytelling. Like we need to tell stories in the sermon to kind of break it up, but like telling the Bible as a story. I think people are so much more like story. I don't know how to say that, but like we love stories.
Gripped by stories.
Yeah, we love
Sit on the
stories.
edge of
I think
your
it's
seat.
just a human thing. We love stories. And I think when you really hone in on the Bible's ability, like to share things as a story, like that's when you can get people that are going to be way more interested. And that was true in the culture that I worked in. But another aspect of that was, like I said earlier, reproducibility. So the goal with sharing, like we would tell maybe like a little passage of scripture. Like when I was there, we were walking through Mark. So we would tell it chunk by chunk each Sunday morning to the community. And we would tell the story. What we would do is we memorize it. Like we'd get really familiar with the story. We'd memorize it. And then we would share it, and we would act it out while we shared it. And that keeps kind of people engaged. And then you share it multiple times, over and over and over. You could share it up to 10 times, the same story.
In the same setting?
In the same setting, yeah. So you would literally just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And then, like maybe the last 2 times you repeated it, you would have the people that you're sharing it with tell it back to you. So they would get up and act it out and tell it. And because they've heard it so much, they know it by now. And it would be short chunks, it's not like a whole chapter. But basically the point was you wanted to equip people to then go out into their community and share the story because they're so familiar with it. And so we needed that aspect of reproducibility. Like it has to be short enough and simple enough. We wouldn't change the text at all, but you would do it in a way, like in a story way, so that they could easily remember it and memorize it themselves. I think it's really, really cool.
Man, it's just so different.
It is.
100% different.
So how do you
And I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of that's what I was about to ask to an extent. Like, seeing what you experienced the last 2 years, like, what type of perspective do you feel like the Lord showed you in regards to what you grew up with? And Kayleigh, a little bit different for you, probably because of where you've been with your parents. But like for the average person sitting in Dothan, Alabama, watching or listening to this podcast, like what type of perspective shift do you feel like the Lord showed you in regards to things that you learned from your time where both of you were?
I mean, to put it in the shortest phrase possible, we don't share the gospel enough. We assume based off of what people say to us where they are spiritually. And that was the biggest thing. I always cared what people told me about what they believed, but I always asked them more questions because there's going to give you a very basic answer to begin with. And then when they see that you really care about what they believe, they're going to actually give you more context. So two people saying that they are Catholic are not going to be the same. Two people saying that they're evangelical are not going to be the same. Two people telling you that they're a Muslim are not going to be the same. They're going to come from different contexts and have different beliefs. And so I'm always going to assume, regardless of what they told me, that they actually haven't heard the gospel until I hear them articulate it to me. And then I would be inclined to believe that they actually do believe it, if they claim to be Christian, because you never had any clue of what background they were coming from. And I think the same could be said for the Bible Belt, the United States in general. You know, Christianity is such a big part of our history and our culture that people are familiar with it, but being familiar with it doesn't mean that you're saved or that you have a relationship with Christ. And so assuming that people are unsaved until proven otherwise is probably the biggest thing. And then not just going, oh, well, that's sad. Well, it's like, yeah, it is sad. You can do something about it. Because, you know, that's what God calls us to do, is to share him with other people. Like the story, what's the point of telling the stories if not to share him with other people? And so that was the biggest thing for me, is that I just realized that I hadn't been sharing the gospel enough when I was here. I hadn't been sharing the gospel enough when I was in Mobile for university. And I was just like, it feels hard and intimidating. And it is hard and intimidating when you start to try and bring the gospel into every conversation. But just with anything else, it just takes practice. And then the better practiced you are at it, the easier it will become. And I think that's the important thing of someone would tell me something about something in their life and just trying to find a way naturally, not forcing it, not just taking like the steering wheel of the conversation and jerking it to the left, but trying to find an easy way to navigate the conversation of maybe they're telling me about the struggle with their relationships or struggle with the university. And really in like, okay, they're struggling with the university or they're struggling with their value in themselves, and you have bad grades. And so they don't value themselves anymore. It's like, okay, this person has a value issue and of like the personal value. And then being like, well, you know, your value doesn't come from what you do. It comes from who you are in Christ. And trying to figure out how to turn the conversation that way, which is different for every person, every conversation.
Yeah. But that can only happen, like you said, through those long conversations. Like,
yes.
The gospel has to be relational. You know, it's like you said, we can do something about it, but it doesn't mean that we do it. Like, I would say what I learned mostly is like contextualization. That's something that I think we overlook, and it's something that missionaries are like trained to like learn how to do. And again, we're not changing the gospel at all, but we're changing how we share it based on our context. It's what Paul did, and it's just really important to keep in mind that I did it through storytelling because that was how it was going to be best received. Because a 45-minute long, like super deep theological sermon is probably not going to make any sense to the people that I worked with, because they're missing their foundation, that theological foundation in the first place. And they don't know the terms, and they don't know some of the Christianese that we speak. And so you're trying to share the gospel in a way that they will be able to understand. Because I think if we don't do that, we're making it worse. Like, we're hindering it. And we're kind of turning them off to the gospel. And yeah, I think, like you said, Samantha, you know, based on your context in France, like, you were sitting with people for such a long time and having those conversations with them. And that's where you get to the nitty gritty, is those long conversations. And even if you're an introvert, you can do it, you know? But it's just like, it does take a little bit of practice. And I think if you truly believe it's worth it, that this person hears and understands the gospel, then you will maybe be uncomfortable for a little bit, but you realize that it's this person's soul, you know, and so you're going to sit with them, and you're not going to force it. But I think, I mean, in my experience, I've never had to force it because they always come up naturally. Like, people will tell you about their life and their struggles. If you're open to listening, then they will tell you, you know, and most people I've had a gospel conversation with, naturally, it's like they're not super resistant. You know, I think we have this fear that people are going to like start yelling at us and attacking us because we start sharing the gospel. In my experience, that doesn't happen. I think people who are genuinely searching, they will hear you out and they will listen. And maybe they won't be like, oh, that's great, right on the spot. But I mean, it's so worth it to think about what if they go home and they're thinking about it and they're chewing on it on that 45-minute, train ride home, but it's your willingness to sit and listen and be patient for that opportunity to happen and not force it.
Yeah. And something I want to add to everything we've said, we talk about this at training, and it's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to hear it from the pulpit preached. It's another thing to see it. Anyone that is in any way open to the gospel, the Holy Spirit's been there before you ever got there. Yeah. You're not the one saving the person. You're not the one converting the person. You're just being obedient to what God has asked of you. He's already working on that person. He's already been pursuing that person. He's just letting you be a part of it. And if you don't choose to be a part of it, he's going to bring somebody else to do it. Because anyone that I met and shared the gospel with, and we had I would say fruitful conversation, and even the two I can think of that I think genuinely are, if they're not having a full relationship with Christ, that I would say that they he is their Lord, are close to it. He had been there a long time before I ever got there. And all of those people were like, I prayed for someone to come explain this to me. And then we met, and then I met Christians, and it wasn't always me first, it was somebody else. But no one is hearing the gospel in a vacuum of God is already pursuing them. If they're hearing the gospel, it's just coming out of your mouth. The Holy Spirit is the one reaching that person.
It's really good. So you would say that's hard to do on a short-term trip. You can. I'm not saying it can't be done. You can just meet somebody and share the gospel with them because of what you just said, that it's not you doing that. It's the Holy Spirit that's already been working. But to get into this contextualization and to build a relationship and to build trust with not just, people individually, but also culturally and groups of people, it's really hard to do when you're there for 4 days and then go on a fun day to New York City.
Yeah. So I think for me, the best example I saw of a short-term mission working really well is one of the girls that I was regularly reading the Bible with was met by a high schooler from a short-term team who was out offering to pray for people. And that is what piqued her interest and why she started talking to them. And then that high schooler did what was asked of her very faithfully to pursue a conversation with this girl, get her contact, pass her contact off to me and the other long-term people so that we could keep in contact with her. And so I was somewhere else that day with a different group of high schoolers because we had a lot of high schoolers in that week. So I wasn't on the street corner where she met that girl. But God used her on the street corner to get her to someone that could use her long term. But it's also because the high schooler did what was asked of her very faithfully. Because if she hadn't taken what she was doing seriously, she wouldn't have gotten passed on.
Yeah.
I would say I've seen short-term teams go really well, and I've seen them go really poorly. When I was doing this job, I saw a few short-term teams, and the thing is, we vetted our short-term teams really, really well. So we made sure that the people that were coming down were not doing it for the adventure aspect, the tourist aspect. They were coming down to really get in the weeds and work. And so I would say the short-term teams that I had the privilege of working with recently, they were really great. We did, they helped, and my team leader basically said, our short-term teams come down to encourage the local church plant. That's their object. And so they would come down and they would do different projects to help maybe the building itself, or they would come and work with the children. We would have outreach stuff every week with the children in the community. They would do soccer with them. They would watch a Bible movie with them. And they would go maybe to the orphanage and love on the kids. And then we would do community outreach. So we would go out and I would translate they would memorize Bible stories and tell them, and then I would translate and then we would pray for the person. And so it was just sort of like to get feelers out in the community of like, hey, just to let you know, there's this new church plant here and we want you there. Like, we want to be your church family. We want to help you. We want to love on you. And so that was their goal when they came down. And I would say the key thing that I think is super important, if you're coming down for a short-term trip, you need to already be in the mindset of, I'm here to work. Like, I'm here to be, and I'm here to maybe be uncomfortable. Like, some of these people didn't want to share the Bible story or pray out loud. And I'm like, sorry, you came down here, you're doing it. Like, I've got to translate what you're saying live, which is a little bit harder for me, but like, you've just got to pray, you know? And if you're doing that anyway, daily, like, this shouldn't be a struggle for you. And I get that you're in a strange context and you're eating strange food and you're with people that don't like speak your language and you don't understand theirs. But if you come down, like, you've already got to be like, I'm coming down here to share scripture. And I've also seen short-term trips that don't go very well because they don't have that mindset. I think in my context, the short-term trips were good, but I saw a need and a hunger for people that were willing to dedicate 10 or more years. You know, that's what we're talking about. Like, we need people that are willing to come down for 10 plus years to work in one location with one people and just dedicate and put their heart and soul into that people, and see a church planted and see people discipled, and then train the leaders, raise them up so that they can disciple others, so that when you leave, because you will leave, whether it's, by choice or not, you need people in place that can carry on the work, because it should have never depended on you and it should never end with you. And so, yeah, and that's tough. That's a big ask. But I think that's what my context needed. And yeah.
Was that 10 years unique, you think, to your context, or is that an overarching idea because you've seen multiple different contexts? And
yeah.
Well, you can speak to that too, but.
The average length of time it takes to plant a church in my context was 7 to 10 years. So if you were not coming down with the purpose of planting a church, then yeah, you could stay 4 years. But I think our goal should always be to plant a church. And so if you come down like, okay, I'm going to plant a church, reduce your expectations, like be realistic and realize that, hey, maybe it takes like 3 years, maybe. That would be incredible. That would be, I think, miraculous. But just go in with the expectation of, this is going to take a really long time, and I need to make sure that I'm fully committed and I'm dedicated, not only to this place, because that can be really tough, but to this people, even when they're stubborn and they don't want to listen to me, or like they listen, but then they kind of give you that half like, oh yeah, totally. But then they're not actually, giving their life to Christ. Like, you need to have the patience for that. And so, yeah, you have to go in with all these expectations that it's going to be extremely difficult, but that you're going to see God work and it's going to be worth it in the end.
I would say the same for France. If you're coming in to plant a church, the Fédération de Baptistes, so it's French Baptist Association, it takes 5 to 6 years to get a church plant started. And so then you're just looking at how long is it going to take to raise up leaders that you can pass it on and you can leave. And so that's going to probably be at least another 5 years, and get the church to a stable point. And then for us, like, rental property is really expensive in a place like Paris. And so it's out of my team leader's apartment right now. And so if they were to leave, it would have to go to somebody else's apartment, or they would have to find a place that they could sustainably meet. And right now the church plant's not big enough that they can afford it. And you don't want, like Kayleigh was saying, you don't want the church plant to be dependent on you. So it can't be dependent on our mission org's finances, even though we could finance it, because eventually we might have to leave, and the church needs to be self-sustainable. So it needs to be self-sustainable on the local finances and local leaders, because you never know when you could get kicked out of a country, regardless of what country it is and who knows what reason.
Yeah.
And
or
so
have your name splashed across a headline.
yeah, for like you have no clue what could happen, because the enemy is real and he doesn't want you doing. If you're being successful, he wants you to leave. Like he's against you.
Right.
And so you have to know that you're working against, you're working against an enemy that doesn't want you to be there and doesn't want you to be successful. So if he can find a reason to get you kicked out of the country, he's going to, and the church needs to be able to keep going without you. It needs to just keep rolling as if you never left.
Yeah. Also, I will say, this is not me discounting short-term trips at all. I think there is a benefit to short-term teams, and that's that it gets a lot of people not accustomed to another culture out of their own culture and into another one, just to experience and see, hey, this is what it's like in this context. And, you know, if you're coming from America, maybe you'll return like, hey, I think I'm actually really blessed where I am, and just seeing what other people have gone through, like it makes me want to be a little bit more grateful to where I am. Or it can also open your eyes to the need in other countries, and maybe that, you know, motivates you. You feel that call to then go be a missionary yourself. Like I think there are benefits, but I think no matter what you do, you have to weigh the cost of, you know, is what I'm doing on this short-term team helping, or is it detrimental, you know, to the long-term activity that's happening? Because we never want to jeopardize the ministry that's already there, that's been working for years.
There's a lot here. I would say as we're kind of wrapping up next little bit, what's next for the two of you?
You want to go first? I keep going first.
Yeah, it's okay. I am going to be traveling around these southern states recruiting for the IMB. So, shameless plug, if you know anybody at a college that's having events that people come, like career day or something, I can be there. I can speak about my experience and get people interested. Also, Sunday school classes, if you want me to speak, I can definitely do that. But yeah, that's what I'll be doing, trying to get people interested to work with my organization.
So for me, I am moving to Louisville, Kentucky to go to seminary. I'm going to do my Master's of Divinity, or better known as MDiv, because I do want to go back career-wise in ministry. Right now, I think that's overseas. I have no clue. That's in several years when the MDiv is done. So I don't know. It's not my problem to figure out right now. But right now, my problem is to finish the MDiv. So I'm going to do that, because whether I do a career ministry in the States or do a career ministry overseas, I think it would be beneficial just for my own knowledge and own edification and discipleship. And then I guess my focus of my MDiv will be biblical counseling, because that's something I saw as a need on the field with other missionaries, but then also with the people I'm working with. You know, we talk about the joy of the Lord and how wonderful to have that joy is. Anyone that's not a Christian does not have that. And that most people are honestly secretly very sad and secretly very depressed. And so I think just having that background in counseling would make me better equipped to minister to the people, whether I'm in the States or in another country. So that's what I have next.
Amen. Biblical counseling is so important.
It is, yes.
Well, a lot of what y'all just talked about is these long conversations, and long conversations is like a counseling session.
Yeah, for real. And no, it really is.
I mean, yeah, like if you're subtle about it, yeah.
It is,
you can really, I think it's just important to like target somebody's thought process and be like subtly like, hey, why do you think that way?
How did you get to this point?
Yeah.
Where does the belief come from?
Like working in ministry for the time frame that I have, if I had to go back right now and get a degree of some sort, it would be in some kind of counseling probably, if it all worked out, just because of the natural day-to-day conversation with people.
I also just think the average, even Christian, sometimes needs biblical counseling more than we realize. And especially if you are a missionary, you need that support. You need people around you that can counsel you, because you can get so caught up in your own ministry that you sort of forget like basic scriptural, scriptural things that keep you grounded. And
that's something. Can I ask another question?
You don't have to ask my permission. I mean,
Well, you're in charge. So that's something else that I was kind of interested in. I thought about earlier, like for you guys in a setting that you're in where you're 100% pouring in, like you've given up 2 years of your life to go and serve and fulfill God's call that he was leading you to do. Like what was the day-to-day, like your personal, like spiritual walk like? Like how did you fuel fulfilling the plan and purpose God was leading y'all to do?
It's rough.
It's so hard separating personal time in the Bible to work time in the Bible.
It becomes
it's a
the
very
same
blurred
thing.
line. It's really hard.
And people, like, I don't know about in France, but like in Brazil, if you're a missionary, that's all you are. Like people will look up to you like, you know, you're a pastor or something, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, no, I'm just an ordinary person. Like, and so you feel that pressure. And yeah, it's definitely hard because you have to continually remind yourself, like, what am I doing here? You know? And it can be so easy to like even lose that discipline of the daily, scripture and praying because you're thinking about work and of course my job is like, I have to pray for these people because they don't even know the gospel. And I don't know if I'll get the opportunity to share it with them. But it can be so like something that I experienced on the mission field was like the enemy will bring every possible distraction. Like even things that you wouldn't even think would be distracting normally, but anything to keep you away from God's word and to keep you out of prayer and to get you like looking inward. You know, that's such a struggle, like constantly looking inward. Like, am I even, and then you get that imposter syndrome, right? Like, am I even good enough? Like, what am I even doing here? Like, there are people who are way more capable than me.
Well, and then too, like church is not for me, church was never in English.
No.
And so it's like church itself was not like a restful time because it's like I'm having to like give all of my like attention. If I look away from who's speaking for too long and I let some random thought distract me, I've completely lost the context of whatever phrase they're saying, and I
30 minutes later
lose
like,
the ability
what?
to understand French. And so like it's not like where I can like look away or I can look at something else and then be on a different thought, but I'm still understanding what's going on in the background. It's like if I end up giving my full attention to what's being said, I don't understand what's going on anymore. And so that was hard. And so having to like be intentional, like I was listening to Ray's podcast during the week. Sometimes I was listening to the podcast of the church I went to during university during the week, sometimes just because I was like, I need something that I understand.
Yeah.
And also something that is to my like relational depth, because also like we're tailoring the message to the like how much gospel do these people understand, how much Bible context do these people understand. And so we're going off over basic concepts, which are also always good to review. But if I'm reviewing it constantly all of the time with everything I'm doing, I'm not going any deeper. So I was having to find something in English to do that as well. And then, it's so easy for your day to go completely wrong. For me, it would be like the train would break down. And so I was gonna do my quiet time when I got home because I had to leave really early, and I was gonna do it when I got home and then go to this other thing that I had to do. And now I've spent 2 hours trying to get home because the train is down and my day is just completely ruined. And you get to the end of the day and you're like, I didn't do half of what I wanted to today because everything just went completely wrong and it was completely out of my control. But having to be that intentionality is harder. Like if it's hard to be intentional now, it's like 10 times harder to be intentional then. So that's part of like, that's part of what I want to do while I'm in seminary is to get a much better routine down, because the better the routine is before you leave, the harder it is to lose it. But I had a routine in college that changed every semester because my class schedule changed every semester, and then had a great routine at training, but that was like built in for us. And so as soon as you get there and like what I was doing, like my week to week schedule changed every like 4 months because we'd have summertime stuff and then we'd have semester stuff and then would change. And so the intentionality just gets harder.
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't imagine intentionality being harder because it's not easy. Like you said,
No.
both already said it's not easy right now where we are, but much less And I'm still shook by trees and hammocks, much less like laying in a hammock, so.
Oh, then I won't even mention the bugs and the creepy crawlies.
Hey, I had big spiders too.
In the food.
My food was good. I didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, Samantha.
Snails aren't that bad.
You ever eaten a monkey?
I've had pig's feet.
Because you don't.
Yeah, you can get that in Ashford.
Pig's feet. Well, these were Chinese New Year pig's feet, so they were better.
Maybe not those. But
they were better.
They're definitely pickled pig's feet, probably. At the
No.
gas station
These
in
were
Ashford.
slow cooked, roasted, next to the chicken's feet.
You ate a monkey?
It's neither here nor there what I ate. Let's just say some animals are better left in the zoo and not on the plate.
Like you can't.
I'm putting that on a plaque.
Stitch it into a pillow.
Have you ever eaten an ant?
Definitely.
Me too.
Y'all have that in common.
There's actually
I ate an ant off this table.
recently I ate some like tree larvae. And they were actually like the flavor was pretty good. I would say it was like brown butter, like very nutty. But like when you bite into it and it just like the liquid, it's just not pleasant. But
I'm
like the most exotic thing we got is beef
Man,
tartare, which is just uncooked beef.
We could have a whole other podcast on this. I mean, like, okay,
the jungle is
yeah. Can I
fun.
just? Yeah, I can. Man, so like, are you like chilling with these people, like getting to know them, finding out, how they relate with each other and how to share Jesus with them and the best way to do all that, and they like just hand you like a monkey,
Yes.
like roasted.
One of my favorite experiences, I was somewhere deep in the jungle and this was a very, no electricity, right? And they're cooking something over the fire and it smells awful. I mean, just horrible. And they bring it out and it's a whole tortoise, like in the shell. It's still in the shell. And that's why I think it smelled so bad. But they crack that thing open and they start just, taking the meat out, eating it. They're like, do you want some? And I'm like, of course I want some. So they start handing me some tortoise. And then there's this old man crouched on the ground and he's got this yellow orb in his hand. And I come over and I'm like, hey, what's that? And he doesn't speak Portuguese. So I was like just trying to like make motions with my hands, trying to figure out what it was. And I finally figured out it was the egg of the tortoise. But he just like breaks off a piece and just like puts it in my mouth. And I was like, okay, thanks.
Like a boiled it, like he boiled the egg.
The egg was boiled inside of like while the tortoise
it
was cooking, the egg became, poached. And
just got so uncomfortable.
And I was like, wow, I'm like being fed tortoise egg by this strange old
Like when you're at your grandmother's
not clothed
house.
man.
When you're at your grandmother's house and like she fixes your plate or has something to eat and you don't like it.
Yeah.
You have to eat it.
You have to eat it.
You have to
Is
eat
it kind of like that, or did you like really want to try these things?
I would say most of the time I wanted to try them. There were a few times where, no, I wanted to throw up.
But did you feel like you had to try it though because you wanted to be? I mean, is that a way to connect with the people?
It is. I mean, like I said, food is a huge connecting point, and especially like in Brazil, they are like if you don't eat their food, they will take it so personally. And for me, it was like, I literally can't eat anymore. Like when I would be hanging out with Brazilians, like in their homes, they'd be feeding me and they'd be like, eat more. And I'm like, seriously, I can't, like, I'm stuffed. And they would be like, oh, I can't believe this. Like, you won't eat my food. And I'm like, I liked your food. I ate so much.
Yeah. Then you're like internally you're thinking through like somebody might not follow Jesus because I don't eat their monkey.
I don't know. I learned that some boundaries are worth having.
That'll preach across the board there.
There were times where, I mean, when it came down to it, if I was offered something, yes, I would accept and I would eat it. And I mean, I went into this job knowing I'd eat strange food. And so I had mentally prepared myself. I ate strange food when I was young, just being on the mission field. Like I ate guinea pig, So to me, it was not a big deal. But there were just times where I would like look at my partner and be like, hey, can you finish this for me? Like under the table, you know, like I didn't want them to know. I wasn't trying to be rude, but I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah. There's no asking for a to-go box, right?
Yeah.
No. I'd say
Hey, can I take this to go? I'm going to eat it. I promise. Throws it and then
you don't have to eat any monkey in Paris. There's probably some animal rights violation going on there that they're going to be really upset about. But
hey, those monkeys are evil anyway. They're better off being eaten.
But the smelliest cheese that you have ever smelled in your life, if you don't try it, you hate all of France. So it doesn't matter what country you're in, whatever food that they identify themselves with, and they're like, if you don't like this, you don't like us.
Girl, I will
They're gonna
take
be so
your
mad.
smelly cheese any day
Look,
over the bugs.
I liked the smelly cheese, so it was fine. But across the board, all cultures have their food, and they want you to eat them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's like I guess that's not really addressed when you want to be a missionary, but they should put that on the flyer. Like, oh, do you want to be a missionary? Well,
No
you
chicken
need
fingers.
to mentally
No,
prepare
there's no
yourself.
chicken fingers in France.
You need to mentally prepare yourself to eat food that like isn't necessarily bad, but maybe you
just
don't
different.
like.
Or just like
Yeah.
raw beef with a raw egg on top of it. And it's
Did
gonna
somebody force you to eat?
I know it's beef.
tartare?
That's beef. I know one forced me. Oh, actually, they kind of get really touchy if you haven't tried beef tartare. They're like,
Yes,
"Oh,
I
you
would
American,
not.
you won't try it. You're just scared because it's raw." And then it's like a dare, and it's like I just don't like how raw beef feels.
Well,
But they do take it personally. They would get mad at me when I hadn't tried escargot yet, and when I finally did, they were all really proud of me. And I was like, "Guys,
I'll
it's
take
just
my
a-
butter
it's
fried
just a
ants
snail."
over raw meat and raw egg. Who came up with that?
I don't know, but they like it.
This is an entirely different podcast. I think, that
me
I'm
when
not,
I don't
I'm not
when I
built
don't have a
for.
stove. Like,
So, I mean, this is just fun as we wrap up here, but like the wildest thing you ate was the tortoise?
I would probably say the tree larva, in my opinion, was the wildest thing I ate. Because it's like a big fat worm. I would say to anyone else's perspective, the guinea pig is the weirdest thing I've eaten.
But you did that earlier in life.
I did. I did that when I was like 7. So I was prepared.
What was the thing that you ate that you were the most surprised about how it tasted? Like in a good way.
Pig's feet. Pig's feet are delicious.
Ew, no.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Slow roasted with some good seasoning. It's good. It's just like eating ribs.
Let me think. Probably alligator.
Or crocodile.
Right.
Was there alligators and crocodiles, or was it there's a difference?
There is a difference.
I don't know
But-
which ones are in Brazil.
Alligators are in Florida, right?
Yeah.
So I think it must have been crocodiles, yeah.
I think down there it's mostly crocodiles.
Also, I will say like the fish in Brazil is out of this world. So good. Like piranha, so good.
Yeah, we don't have good fish.
Yeah, you just gotta be careful when you catch those suckers.
Well, they weren't. I mean, I caught one and it wasn't that bad.
You caught a piranha?
Yeah.
Like with a cork and a hook, or
So this was like podunk fishing. We got like a little hook on a line and we just got some chicken breast from the store raw, just put a little bit on there. And we went to where all the piranha hang out and we would catch them and then throw them back.
You know, you
Just
did you
for
know you
fun.
can catfish in the Seine, and there's like monster catfish in the river in Paris. It's one of my fun facts. You can go noodling for a catfish.
they actually
In
do
Paris,
that?
yeah.
They fish like that in
Yeah.
Paris?
Yeah, they're trying to find the monster
Man,
catfish.
there's rednecks everywhere.
There are rednecks everywhere.
Can't escape.
That is facts.
Where there's catfish, there's red.
Sounds like
There's
little piranha rednecks.
Man,
There's not a lot of entertainment in the jungle, okay?
I wouldn't think so.
No, you'll be walking on the Seine at night, Eiffel Tower lit up, Notre Dame's right there. There's a man catfishing down on the riverbank. And like you see it and you're like, that is a
And-
monster catfish.
And why not? Let him live his
No,
life. you
no,
know?
that's I mean, yeah, that's the Parisian, just do what you want.
Yeah.
But it's like, and then you're like, oh, that's just a catfish down there. And then someone's, playing the accordion and you're like, what is
You're like,
this?
I didn't come to France to see catfish.
If I want to watch someone catch fish, I would just call it the Chattahoochee.
Yeah.
All right. So the question that we ask everybody, well, I would like to say that we ask everybody. I'm doing a little bit better with the last couple guests. But now we've got 2 guests on, so we're going to get a total of 6 recommendations. What 3 people need to come on the journey?
What 3 people need to come on the journey? Oh my God.
So 3 from
This
you
is so
and 3 from
heartbreaking.
you.
I don't know anybody.
Well, it doesn't have to be people from here. Like if there's somebody that's influential for you that you think would just be in, we're not saying it has to be like we actually can do it. But I mean, we would like to be able to have somebody.
Oh, so just
on.
like anybody?
Just anybody.
Anywhere?
Anywhere?
I mean,
anybody,
put
anywhere.
a little effort into it of like maybe here's a chance that y'all can get them.
There's a chance, yeah. But if it's like, man, my team leader was
TL. That's TL to you.
yeah. Sorry, my TL was just awesome, So that kind of thing. But I mean, if there was a chance, we'd like to have people on the podcast.
Me again.
Okay, let me think. Okay, this one's what in the world?
That's them crickets she hated in Brazil.
Oh, come
Okay,
on.
this one's unattainable.
Those don't even sound like
I'll give one
crickets.
unattainable one. But there was a lady in one of our partner churches. I don't want to give away her whole life story, but her testimony was amazing. She's Armenian. She grew up in Iran, had to flee Iran because she was friends with the king and queen before the Arab Spring, and then she lived the rest of her life in France. If anyone's familiar with Brother Andrew, who wrote God Smuggler, they were homies.
Really?
She's the coolest lady I've ever met in my life, and I love her so much. And she was such an encouragement to me because she understood what it was like to have to leave your home country. And I did it willingly. She was a refugee, but she was so cool and so lovely. And I think, and she's great at English as well. So no one would have to translate. She speaks like 4 languages.
Tell us her name. If not, don't worry about it.
No, I don't need to share what her name is.
Okay.
Because she doesn't know I'm talking about her. But she was the coolest.
Is she
was
going to
like,
see this on the, I mean,
she doesn't, I just respect people's
okay.
privacy.
All right, I got you.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. But she was like my grandma in Paris, and she was so sweet. She loved me so much. I loved her. The first person that came to my mind that might be attainable, I think, would be, I'm thinking of Zane, like Zane Pratt.
Oh, that'd be sick.
That would be sick. He'd be so Zane Pratt, he is a professor at Southern, but he also works with the IMB, and has done some stuff with, I think, 9 Marks as well. Super awesome guy. He teaches at our training, super convicting every time. He's just the coolest. I would love to listen to a podcast with Zane Pratt.
Well, we should have a connection. Do you know Zane too?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got you.
He was in charge of my boot camp.
That guy?
Yeah.
And we've got Kayleigh knows him, and Dalton hasn't been on the show, but Dalton should know him. Willie, if he's starting seminary there.
Oh, yeah. Soon.
So somebody can get us in touch with Zane Pratt.
I mean, maybe. I don't know if I can let you into my connections like that.
Not my
I
fault.
don't know if I want to open my Rolodex.
All right. Well, then I guess we'll just email him ourselves.
Okay. Well, then I'm behind. But has Mr. James Oney been on the journey yet?
He'll be on. Auburn texted us about that this morning because he's coming to the Student Awesome August on August 10th. So we're going to attempt to get him on.
Oh, I would want Mr.
awesome
James Oney.
August.
What'd you say?
I said, what an awesome August.
I would love to hear from Mr. James Oney. He's the best.
I have some recommendations.
All right, let's hear him.
Let's hear him.
Shout out to my former supervisors. They're going to love this. They live in Marianna, Florida, so not
Hey.
far. And they worked on my team. And next time they come back for furlough and they're available, you should.
Former supervisors, as in where you just were the last 2 years?
Yeah,
that type of thing?
they just moved up. So they're now in charge of their own team.
Okay.
but they were.
Can you tell us their names?
Yeah, it's Jeffrey and Sydney Bassford. Shout out to y'all.
Hey, let us know. Really, that'd be cool.
I will.
When
Yeah,
they're in town,
I'll give you their contact if they're okay with it.
If they're okay with it.
we'll check. with
Open
them
up the
then.
Rolodex.
Let me flip through my Rolodex
If you're okay
here.
with your connections, like sound like Samantha's not. So
No, I kid. Zoom blagging.
Samantha's
us know.
got some
That'd be
high
fun.
target contacts. She's too popular.
All right, you got 2 more.
those are 2
I have
people.
to give 4?
That's 2 people.
Okay,
we'll give
you got
her,
one
We'll
more.
give her a pass. We'll give you one more.
One more? Let me go through my WhatsApp. I'm just kidding. I really don't know.
I kind of want to talk to the tourist guy.
Honestly, if I could bring one
Sounds
of the
like
people
he
that
didn't
I
have
met,
clothes on.
he didn't
See,
have clothes
I
on.
mean, we're
And
gonna
he
have
also
to-
doesn't speak any of the languages that I know.
Which is 3.
Man, if I could get one of those people I met, they would go crazy.
Yeah, they would.
It'd be fun time.
We do have a way to plug a phone in. You could do like a phone call through the.
Oh, why didn't we think about that before?
So you could have
Oh my
got somebody
gosh.
on the WhatsApp. Had a
I could have
conversation with them.
translated.
Live translation.
Live translation.
We can Zoom too, possibly. All right, you got one?
I don't think I do. I need
Okay.
to make more friends.
Me too.
We'll give her Zane Pratt too, since she.
Yeah, we-
I've
also
been
we
a little.
both know
I've
Zane.
been a little indisposed.
She knows Zane better than I do, so it counts for both of us.
Okay.
Because her terminology when that name was brought
You
up.
could
that'd
ask
be
my parents.
sick.
I don't know if they will say yes, but you could ask my parents.
Are they in town? They're in town, right?
They will be in town in November.
Parents.
Kayleigh's parents.
Haley's parents.
I
All
don't
right.
know how much they can talk about, but
This has been fun, guys.
I think y'all win the trophy for longest episode too.
Slay.
let's go, Diva. Conversation Club.
Conversation club. See,
See,
I'm so good at this.
I'm in a conversation
You're actively
club
in a conversation club.
every Monday at 10 o'clock, and
see,
then
you could
every now and then
you
a
could
bonus
host.
episode.
You could host one in France. Easy.
You just need to learn French, which
There's
is
a-
the most impossible task in the world.
No, c'est pas vrai. No.
There's y'all's podcast name, Conversation Club,
Conversation club.
It's not a bad idea.
for the 2 of you.
All right,
be
y'all have anything else to add?
No, this is fun.
It's been fun. Thank you
been
so
real.
much.
Well, thank y'all for what you do for the kingdom of God.
Yeah, we're proud of you. It's neat to watch and see what the Lord's done from many years in both of your lives. And so y'all are, an encouragement. There's been encouragement just to think about a lot of different things personally for me, and I know for those that'll listen and watch as well, and keep being faithful like you have
Thank you.
been.
Thankful for everyone
Be
at
encouraged that you don't have to
RBC.
eat tortoise because I did it for you.
I'm still worried about that monkey. I'm not worried about it, but just
Don't be worried about
between
the
the trees and the
He got what
monkey,
was coming to him.
I'm just thinking, it's like KFC, the chicken leg brought out on the platter,
I mean, would you know the difference? If you
That's
didn't
what I'm
know,
wondering.
Yeah.
It's honestly better if you don't know what you're eating.
if you didn't know
Like you just
which meat it was.
Yeah, it's just better just to eat it.
So monkey leg today. You know if they're monkey fingers, though, because them suckers are little bitty fingers.
You've really thought about this.
I'm telling you. I'm
You know they're not actually chicken fingers, right, Chase? I mean, it's not like.
that's a good point.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you
Land the
next
plane.
week.